So this is my recipe for my famous banana loaf or muffins. I also included a topping there for your muffins. Preheat your oven to 350 or 375 if it's really a low temperature oven. Mix your dry in with your wet. 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and then I love a generous heaping teaspoon of cinnamon and a pinch of nutmeg, but you don't have to do that if that's not the spices you like. Then your wet is 3/4 a cup of sugar, half a cup of melted butter, 3 ripe bananas, and if you don't want to use the 1/4 a cup of oil, just add another ripe banana in there. So these are almost perfect enough to be ripe enough for this, but it's just good enough for today. Usually I like them a little bit more spotted because they're more sweet. And then I'm going to show you my topping. I usually don't do this unless it's going to be super fancy, but it's just sugar, melted butter, oats, and spices. So I start mashing off my bananas. Mash it up really, really, really well. And it kind of looks like resembles applesauce to the perfect consistency there. Melt your butter and put in your sugar there, and it's all softens up together in the bowl. I forgot to put a splash of vanilla. I also like to put in the wet mixture. So just make sure it's pure vanilla. If it's not pure vanilla, it's not going to be vegan. So mix that up really well. Put in your oil if you're using it, or just add your extra banana if you want to not use oil. Then your dry ingredients, flour, salt, baking powder, soda, and I do, like I said, lots of cinnamon and a big pinch of nutmeg. It smells so good. And you can also do allspice if you prefer, but I do not. So I mix that up really, really well. Then I mix my wet in with my dry. Make sure there's no clumps of dryness in there. It should look about this thickness. If it's a little runny, put a little bit more flour at a time, like a little bit at a time. These are my to-go-to for baking. They are so easy to just pop out the muffins and loaves. So I just butter those and I fill up my loaf 3/4 of to the top. Then put it on the middle rack. And I'm just making muffins here, and I about 3/4 or a half full to the cups there. Then I'm making my yummy toppings. Now just eyeball this, it's just a topping, so you don't need a lot. So you're gonna mix in little bits of clumps of butter in with your oats and some sugar to a sand consistency like this. If you want, if you're allowed to have nuts, chop some walnuts up if you'd like, some spices. Then you're gonna add that to your mixture there. Mix them around really well and just put a tiny bit of that on top of your muffins because it will cook and stick to the batter, and all the excess will just fall off as you tap them when they're cooked. And I felt so bad. I had to move my loaf and I kind of got a tear in the top. It was going to be so perfect too. I was so mad. But it happens. So this is the spaghetti trick. So if you get batter on it as you poke your loaf, then it's not ready quite yet. There's my big old tear. Sorry about that. It's still going to taste the same though. And this is the secret thing that I always do now that my mother-in-law taught me. Put not even melted butter, just put butter on top of your loaf and it will come out looking like a shiny store-bought loaf. Here's my muffins and how they turned out. I like to check a couple muffins at a time so that I know they're all going to be cooked. Now that's perfect. And look at how shiny and soft and like so pretty that looks. And these are so pretty. I love them. They're perfect to go like morning muffins. And then just shake off the excess there. And most of it will stay on and it'll be so yummy. I hope you enjoy these.